Hey guys, Trickster here, and we're playing a game called Elsewhere High. As always, I have no idea what this game's about, but I like his hair. Alright, let's get started. Best enjoyed with headphones. Well, good thing I'm wearing headphones. Oh shit. Walking. Oh, walking. Let me mess with the where's the freaking save. Load. Turn to top screen. Shit. Is there a... Fuck, I guess not. I was thinking if there's a way I can turn down the sound effects, but I guess not. I'll just talk louder. Squish. It wasn't very unusual for Derek to be walking in the muddied shoulder of a barren country road. While he lived in a modestly sized city now, Derek grew up in a small town surrounded by roads just like this one. I gotta keep my mouse here, sorry. He would often walk in the morning to catch his bus to school. That seemed like ages ago now, though. Now that he resided in the city, he usually chose to walk to school, except of course for the days when the cold was overbearing or the heat too exhausting. And yet he felt no comfort in this aged familiarity. Where's the stop? He lifted his head, his neck was tense. He was told there would be a sign. A blue sign or something, right? Don't you remember? His frame was not of much substance, but still his feet pressed against the softened ground and built mountains of displaced mud against the edges of his shoes. As he lifted them, the bulbous mounds would rise, as if they wanted to follow him. The earth kept them close, though, these ripples of muck, and instead sent a forest of stringy soldiers to cling to the soles of his sneakers. There was a thick layer of them by now. Maybe I missed it. He spoke aloud to himself. He did this often. Me too. He sheathed his uncertainty and kept forward. His body ached. Derek took a moment to check behind him. He was somewhat worried that the sound of the rain would drown out any cars. There hadn't been one yet, but he kept looking to the graveled edges. Anyway, there's no such thing as too careful, but there is such thing as paranoid. Guess I'll go a bit more. Ugh, this is bullshit. His statement was more of a meditative cry than a pitiful complaint. Pity was something that Derek didn't have for himself, or his situation. Confusion, anger, frustration, even a pinch of denial, yes. But Derek did not feel sorry for himself. As he took a few more sunken steps, his mind was understandably drawn back to the conversation that led him there. Whoa! Transition. It was somewhat ordinary for him to get a call to the principal's office. He remembered he was sitting in his grade 12 anthropology class, a class he had taken to gain a free credit from, but was rather surprised to find a sort of interest in, when the PA system came to life with a familiar, muffled alert. Yes? His teacher had cried out. She wasn't the type to become easily annoyed, but found herself derailed from her train of thought by the brash interruption. Can we see Derek Summersfield at the office, please? The voice was hard to understand, but his teacher eyed him quickly. Yep, sure thing. She wasted no time giving Derek a physical gesture of excuse and jumping immediately back into her lesson. Derek didn't remember being nervous. One of his friends had talked him into joining their small student council, and while it was infrequent, He would sometimes be called to the office to confirm various details of upcoming events. Oh, I'm not a troublemaker. Sad. But this time, there was a much more urgent topic of conversation. Oh. Ah! Transition! As the umpteenth telephone pole disrobed itself from the darkness in the front of Derek, he was quickly led away from his daydream. It was too far away to make out the details, but he knew that he was nearing the landmark. Just keep walking until you find a blue sign. You could see it in the distance, fastened rather high above the ground on a wooden pole. A blue sign. His pace didn't quicken. Ah! Stop that! Do you know why I've asked to see you today? His principal asked with a voice laden with a distinct disappointment. The principal liked Derek. He'd never been in trouble, and it was expected that students that were part of the elected council were given somewhat of a special treatment. It was then that Derek remembered feeling the first tinge of nervousness. It was the sound of the principal's voice. With a weighted sigh, the principal opened an envelope on his desk and took out a handful of papers. One of them was scribbled notes that Derek couldn't quite make out, though the deep wrinkles and folds. Soon after being closed to gather himself, the principal's eyes made their way to Derek. They sat on him. He waited. Then, a raised finger. He carried it limply and waved it around the notes. Do these, for any reason, look familiar to you? Derek shuffled in his seat. I can't read them. Derek remembered saying the words through a taut throat. Have a look. The principal opened his hands and lightly pushed the papers toward him. With more than a little apprehension, Derek reached for them and began to read. Ah! Ah! Stop that! I told you to stop that! Little bitch. Skankiest girl in the school. Tell anyone I'll kill you. Mom's probably a whore. Your new name is Slut. That's your new name. What? He didn't read any one of them start to finish. They were vile in their language, threatening, brute. They made Derek sick to his stomach. He pushed the papers back towards the principal. For the first time in years, he remembered feeling his eyes begin to well up. I didn't do this! Derek stopped. Against the swarm of browns and grays, the deep blue that covered the sign reclaimed his attention. Just keep walking until you find a blue sign. Once you find it, wait. It'll come soon enough. He stood beneath the sign, his hands gripping the straps of his backpack. It was all he carried. I guess this is it. He sighed. Not only was it raining, but it was sticky and warm, and recalling the events that brought him there did little to calm his growing palpitations. His brows were drowned in heavy gathered sweat. He didn't seem to mind. There was nothing left to do other than wait. So Derek leaned his body against the telephone pole and did just that. Ah! I said stop that! Do you know what these are? Derek remained silent for a moment, took a deep breath, then exhaled with purpose, as if he was about to reply. But he couldn't. Derek? The principal's voice remained assertive, but it was softened by a hint of worry. Derek's body felt like a stone. His body was lifted elsewhere. He couldn't think or move. In this moment of confusion and discomfort, he felt as if he had surrendered his will. It was taken from him and handed over to someone else. His voice returned and broke. His head hung low. Yes, that was all he said, and still standing against the rotten pole. He could not explain why he said it. Yes? The principal's voice waited for Derek to continue. He didn't. Derek, these notes were handed to me by a student named Priscilla Aberdeen. Do you know her? After taking a moment, Derek nodded. Yes, well, she handed me these notes in private, in secret, after trying to find a way to let someone know. She was terrified, Derek. Absolutely distraught. She was crying, sobbing, asking for help. He took a break to rein in his escalating voice and continued. Do you know anything about these notes? Derek's body was not his own. He felt the force to nod his head on his behalf. The principal gathered himself. I do? Derek, what do you know about these notes? Something lifted his tongue. Something put breath in his lungs. Something formed the words. I wrote them. What? I'm a dick? Why did I write them? I could feel his shoulders pancaked between the weight of his body and the pull. It added to the ache. With a foggy mind and an anchored heart, Derek waited. I no longer feel bad for you, man. Hope you fucking slip and fall in the mud. His face contorted in an instinctual response to the memory. Priscilla. Her name pops from his mouth and crackled like hot grease. Priscilla. She was hardly even relevant to Derek throughout his high school life. He didn't dislike her. He just didn't know her. Then why... They had shared a class the year before, when they were both juniors, but they sat on opposite sides of the rooms and had no friends in common. Their school was large enough for two students to never find themselves in the same place at the same time with the same people. She seemed like a nice girl, Miss Priscilla Aberdeen. Derek remembered hearing her laugh from time to time and thinking about how wonderfully infectious it was. She was an otherwise quiet girl, so it was refreshing to hear such a genuine expression. She engaged in classroom discussion and was rather intelligent. Her marks were probably better than Derek's, although he didn't really ever push himself. There was certainly nothing wrong with her. And even if there was, Derek wouldn't have done something like that. Then why did you confess? I'm confused now. Of course not. There were people who he disliked in his school. They were rude, or disagreeable, or just unlike Derek in too many ways. But he never mistreated them. He didn't want to spend that extra mental energy cooking up ways to hurt someone. It seemed superfluous. Whatever that word is. It seemed stupid. It was really a mystery, even to himself, then, why he had done this to Priscilla. Why have I done this to Priscilla? But when he did carve out enough courage to jump back into the caravan of his memory, he always emerged with nothing but a mind soaked in solemn fog. Everything was hazy. Everything had been hazy. After his confession, he remembered nothing until the principal's door swung open and he heard footsteps behind him. How long have I been sitting here? A body sat down next to him. He barely raised his head, just dragged his eyes to the right to see who it was. Mom? It hovered somewhere between a question and a statement. She looked at him with something that Derek would have sworn was indifference, then surrendered her gaze to the principal. Derek assumed he began explaining the situation, but his senses shut down. His body was hardened by guilt and shame. Time passed haphazardly. A few minutes, an hour, who knew? It was only when his mother laid a limp hand on his forearm that he tuned back in. While he was sure that the gesture was meant to be one of comfort, he felt nothing but stinging apathy. Her hand sat there weightless, and from it flowed no measurable compassion. She held the pamphlet in her other hand. His principal spoke up with a low, heavy voice. I would recommend this as your next course of action. In terms of other options, there are few. You could, of course, try... What is it? The two adults almost jumped to the sound of Derek's voice. His mother had almost forgotten that he was there. The principal spoke first. I'm sorry? A brochure or whatever. What are you guys talking about? The principal let out a deep sigh. It's an alternative schooling option for students who have been... Been what? The principal and his mother exchanged a worried, frustrated glance. This time his mother spoke first, but for some reason she whispered. Have you even been listening? She had always feared being intrusive, even in situations like this. But now her sharp breath hit Derek's ears with a shrill impatience. The principal fidgeted with his pen, then danced his gaze around both Derek and his mother. Derek, you have been expelled. His numbness somehow deepened into less of feeling, less of knowing, less of nothing. The sound hung like ornaments on the wall. Derek exhaled slowly. When I've given your mother's information on Elsewhere High. It's a new program, a new facility, a school for exceptional children, is its slogan. It's meant to accommodate families in situations like yours. They offer transportation, simple accommodations, classes that engage the students in. His voice began to fade away. Derek knew what his mother had decided, even though she had yet to open the pamphlet, even though she had yet to speak. These transitions are still freaky, man. I nearly scared him half to death. These freaking transitions are scaring me nearly half to death. Perhaps he'd fallen asleep, but somewhere in the distraction of his mind, Derek hadn't seen or heard the bus approaching. The door swung open with a shrill creaking of metal. The motor rumbled conspicuously, as if it was puttering so loudly. Hurry, Emma! Get on! Derek looked to his left, back in the country road, back on the muddy footprints that he'd left, that by now had turned into a path of miniature pools. Fresh new raindrops hit their surface and sent hundreds of ripples to wave him goodbye. Didn't wave back. Yay, I'm on the bus. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Now what? Looks like an average school bus. It was cold inside. Or perhaps it was a reasonable temperature and Derek's hot skin met the air with a chilling salute. Even though it was soaking and heavy, Derek decided to keep his sweater on. It was basically all he had. The driver sat behind the glass cage, with all its windows deeply tinted and completely impenetrable by sight. So was the entire bus, it seemed. Derek couldn't see outside, as the road windows were also darkened by a deep tint. That would freak me the hell out. His spine rattled. He let out a small cough and shrugged his backpack off his shoulders. His muscles were balled up and hard. Then Derek noticed that in the middle of the bus sat a girl. Oh. She was the only other passenger, except with her body turned towards the window next to her. What is she looking at? It looked as if she were in deep in thought. Derek's kindled curiosity was suffocated by, well, everything else. His anger, his confusion, his stubbornness. He sat in the front seat, directly behind the shielded driver. With his backpack placed by his side, he leaned his head against the window and closed his eyes. Guess I'm gonna go to sleep. He knew that he would not find sleep. Ah, damn it. I always slept on the bus. Hey! Derek's heart leaped. He kept his eyes closed. Maybe she's not talking to me. Hey! This time it was more pointed. Derek rolled his body upwards and turned to her. Yeah? You just gonna sit there by yourself? He still couldn't get a good look at her, but all but her shoulder was blocked by the seat in front of her. Come on, grab a seat. Sure, let's go to her. With a touch of reluctance, Derek picked up his bag and walked toward her. Might as well make new friends at a new school. 'Cause I got expelled from our last one. La 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 la. On his way, the bus did its best to thwart his efforts, throwing him effortlessly from side to side, his metal body bouncing to the rhythm of the road. With a taut grip, Derek pulled himself into the seat, sitting upright and gentlemanly. Okay, what the hell does she look like? Well, that was a struggle. She gave a light smile. Derek, finally able to, gave the girl a glance. She was gorgeous. Her frame was gracious and timid, but she carried it with a purposeful force. She was hunched, yet all her limbs and muscles were firm and confident in their place. Her folded posture was not one of laziness, but one of intent. On her face was a set of green eyes that studied Derek hurriedly, but also offered a sense of genuine welcome. She had a rested stare that some might have mistook for emotionless. But that was not true, Derek guessed. She was just calm. You could have walked over to the next stoplight or something. Huh? I mean, so it wouldn't have been so rickety. Oh no, it was fine. She leaned farther back in the seat and placed her hands into her pockets. Ah, well, good morning. Derek had almost forgotten. The thick darkness had nearly fooled him. But it was, in fact, morning. He let out a sigh. You too. His eyes wandered. I'm Sophie. I know your name now. Derek. Nice to meet you. Yeah. What was that for? What? That... She did her best to lower her voice, jut her chin out like Derek did. In any other circumstance, her imitation would have made Derek smile. But his face remained stoic. Just not in the mood. Best mood. She turned back to herself before offering a response. Yeah, I feel that. I was in a shitty mood when they picked me up, too. Probably still am. Huh. Place has turned me into a bitter old hag, I guess. You seem fine. Really? Most people take my resting bitch face as some kind of attitude. Derek shrugged. She did seem fine. They shared a few moments of silence, but perhaps experienced it in completely separate ways. Sophie sat relaxed, carrying something between confidence and indifference on her shoulders. Derek swam deep in his anxieties, half forgetting that he was sharing his space. The bus rumbled on, carrying them down a wholly unknown route. Each time the bus turned or stopped, Derek wondered where he was. It was headed west, but we've taken 2 right turns, or 3. Damn it! Derek spoke, but with a tangible reservedness. Do you know how long it'll take? To get to school? A long time. Like what, an hour? 2? I'm not sure. You're not sure. Is this your first day too? Derek's voice was laced with annoyance. Nope. Then how do you not know? I just don't know, okay? It's far, geez, let it go. Derek wasn't used to being so abrasive. He didn't like the feeling. Okay, sorry, No, I get it, I'm sorry, I'm just antsy. Heh, shouldn't that be my job? A different kind of antsy. I remember the feeling on my first day. Yeah? Was it shitty like this one? She almost laughed. I'm sure it was pretty similar. She pushed out a gale of breath through her loose cheeks. The wording on this book. They send you off quick, too? Derek shrugged. They gave me a few days to get ready. Huh, that's a luxury. I was gone the next day. Didn't have time to do anything. It's like a sick joke or something. Some guys back at the campus always say, there's no use moping. But I actually really like moping so they can shut the hell up. Derek wasn't sure how to respond. He let a timid laugh escape him. Yeah, I'm sure I'll do plenty of moping over the next little while. So, she righted herself with a touch of pep. What'd you bring? Huh? In your backpack, I mean. It's all soaked to shit now. But, is it all you got? Oh, yeah, I was actually pretty worried. Derek unzipped his bag and reached inside. My laptop's in here. Your laptop? Her face was sick with worry. But look. He opened his bag to let her see. The laptop was wrapped in 2 plastic shopping bags. Forward thinker. Sophie rolled her eyes. Or you just wanted to get your 5 cents worth. There's 2 bags here. Oh, I'm sorry. Your dime's worth. Their voices were playful and high. Hey, people don't get rich by wasting money. Oh yeah? So your goal is to be all rich one day? Well, no, actually. I just mean, you know. He searched for the words, but retreated into a laugh and said, instead. Actually, I have no idea where I was going with that. Sophia gave him a sarcastic smile. It is kind of bullshit, though. What? That they make you pay 5 cents for a bag? Like, come on. It's a war crime, really. So what else do you got in there? My laptop charger? You don't say. Derek shuffled through his bag some more. Another t-shirt so this one doesn't get too disgusting. Socks and underwear, I hope? He looks up to her and scrunches his face in uncertainty. No. What? I packed them in my other bag. You packed a t-shirt and as a backup but no boxers? Well, people can see my t-shirt. Oh my lord, that's disgusting. You know that it takes some time for your luggage to go through screening, right? I thought it was quick, like a couple days or something. Yeah, that's what they say, but it never comes on time. Oh, great. Well, that's shitty. Who does the screening anyway? Sophie shrugged, unimpressed. Like they'd tell us. So we don't even know who's rummaging through our bags? Nope. Great. Heh. Yep, welcome aboard. You'll run into stupid stuff like that all the time. Just absolutely no idea what's going on. Huh. His body contracted into a shiver. Man, is there any way they could turn the AC down? I find it nice. Yeah, you're not soaking wet. Take your sweater off then. So you can see through my shirt? No, so you can stop bitching about being cold. Ouch. He liked her crass attitude. There was something about it that excited Derek. He let the silence settle, and then rolled his shoulders towards Sophie. So what's with these windows? Good question. Sophie teetered somewhere between annoyed and empathetic each time she spoke. It confused Derek, and caused him to tread rather lightly. Listen. She took a large breath. There's tons of stuff about this place that seems off. There's even more stuff that we just have to get used to. What I've learned from this place so far is that it's better to ask as little questions as possible. You can make friends and stuff, just don't be loud about anything. Keep your head down, stay out of trouble, and don't make a fuss about being kept in the dark. I mean, we kind of brought this on ourselves, I guess. Of course, I want to know why we can't look out these windows. But I don't get to know that. It's not for me to know. So I don't ask. Derek decided to say nothing in return. How are you feeling? I don't like shit. That's good, at least you can admit it to yourself. I tried to be all brave for the first bit. Put on this face. No one bought it, especially me. It's good you can be honest. She took a moment before continuing. You know, I'm on this bus, which means I messed up. But I'm not a bitch or anything. We can talk whenever you need. Yeah, for sure. Derek could start to smell his feet reeking, wiggling his toes in his drowned shoes. He pushed the conversation forward in an attempt to distract Sophie from the stench. So, if this isn't your first day, then why are you on the bus? Just to get out. We weren't allowed to leave campus, but we get bus privileges if they think we're showing good behavior. Sometimes I feel more claustrophobic on here than I do elsewhere, but it's still a change of scenery, I guess. So she's just riding the bus for the sake of riding the bus. Derek's heart sank. He had yet to arrive at his new school, but he already felt undeniably restrained. Thinking about these harsh limitations made him feel queasy and irate. They have no right to. But Derek knew that his malicious thoughts were in vain. He had surrendered his control when he gave his confession, and this, he knew, was the outcome. What happens if we leave? What happens if we leave campus? Sophie's eyes twitched, and then sank, looking deep into her thoughts. We don't know. But I don't really want to find out. Derek thought about challenging her. He stopped himself preemptively. It seemed the best to him not to prod. Drunken and low, Sophie spoke away from Derek. Any more questions? How long have you been here? Elsewhere? Only opened a couple months ago. At the beginning of the school year. I was one of the first. I don't know, maybe 6 weeks? She claimed a moment for her in her thoughts, and returned to the conversation bearing a small solemn grin. Her eyes were elsewhere. I remember a lesson in, grade 2 about time. Our teacher was trying to explain to us how people invented time, but it didn't really exist before we did. Obviously, we couldn't really get it. Maybe I never got it until I came here. But these last weeks, I felt like, I don't know, 6 days, 6 years. What do you mean? She took another moment to properly sort through her thoughts. You know when a friend tells you a story about an amazing vacation they took? How they saw this unbelievable thing and they try to explain it to you? But it doesn't really translate, you know? You still can't really picture what they mean. Elsewhere is kinda like that. I could try to explain everything about it to you, but it wouldn't help. Besides, you're not that far anyway from experiencing it yourself. Sophie took a strand of hair between her fingers and ran it down the edge of her face, then right into her baseball cap. As it set on her palms, she pushed it downward, situating the beak so it almost covered her eyes. Well, Derek, I'm gonna get some sleep. Derek's eyebrows scrunched. Sleep? Is it really that far? No clue, but I'm exhausted. Oh, okay. He was tired too, but thinking about sleep made him feel lonely. He wasn't ready to give up the company, but joined Sophie in her attempt to find rest. Close my eyes. It came quickly. In it, he found just what he expected. While the exact images in the dream escaped him, Derek felt like a suffocating loneliness throughout it. Maybe there weren't any images at all. Maybe it was black. Maybe it was the raw feeling of nothingness. Maybe Derek's mind was so heavy it felt like an anvil to his body. His neck ached under its weight. The nerves in his shoulders splintered, fracturing away from themselves to find help. It's so heavy. It's so lonely. And then... Ah! Derek's body lifted from the seat from the strength of the impact. Holy shit! He gripped the seat in front of him as he flew his eyes on the bus with a loud sense of urgency. What the hell was that? The pothole. She seemed annoyed, but not frazzled. While her calm response did something to de-escalate Derek, it also made him irritated. What? It means we're close. Holy shit, I almost had a heart attack! Sorry, I should have warned you. Her suaveness suddenly slid into a magnetic force into a biting annoyance. Yeah, no shit. Alright, dude, calm down. It was a bump. You're fine. Derek wiped his mouth with the back of his sleeve. He was hot with anger. It took him some time to calm his breath, but by then the bus had slowed to a stop. Derek closed his eyes and checked his tone before he spoke. Does this mean we're here? He said it with much more calmly than he had imagined. Yep. This is us. Only one stop on the Elsewhere High bus. As Sophie seemed collected and familiar, Derek scrambled for courage. He grabbed his backpack, stood from his seat, and walked towards the front of the bus. As he passed the driver's chambers, he tried one last time to peer into the tinted glass. He took me here. But of course, he could see nothing. The doors in front of him stood open. He could see puddled water on the ground. Still raining. At least something felt familiar. Take your time. Derek hadn't noticed her behind him. He couldn't tell how much sarcasm was laced within her gesture. Afraid and unsure, Derek stepped down the stairs onto the damp asphalt of Elsewhere High. And I'm going to save. Empty slot. And I'm going to stop recording right here, and I shall see you in the next one. Tell me what you think.